Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Legacy Years podcast, where we talk about all things related to aging. And today we're kicking off a new series. I'm not sure how many episodes this series is going to be because this is a huge topic. And I am glad that we are embarking on this journey today with my friend Joyce Logan from Ruby Senior Care. Joyce, welcome to the podcast. I'm excited that you are going to kick us off on this senior living options mini series that we're going to be talking about related to all things senior living. So if you'll just tell the audience a little bit about yourself and why you are uniquely qualified to start us off on this topic.
Well, thank you. I feel honored to be the first to kick off this series. I really appreciate you having me on today, and I really have gotten to enjoy getting to know you from our certified senior advisor, what is it? Society of Certified Senior Advisors?
Yeah.
We say CSA, but so thanks for having me.
Yes.
So how did I get into senior living? I got into it because of a personal experience, like most people do in this industry. My mom and stepdad were both diagnosed with Alzheimer's and dementia, and I got a call that they couldn't live alone anymore. So they were in Georgia at the time, and my sister and I rushed there in to help see what was going on. We packed them up, sold their house in a week, and my sister decided that they needed to move back to Ohio because she had the space for them to live with her. And she and her husband took them in, cared for them as long as they could. And then I helped, long distance, but it wasn't near enough. And then about a year later, I helped my mother-in-law, Ruby, move from East Texas after the passing of my father-in-law. She was independent and chose when to stop driving and move. So it made it easier, but not all families have that simple like my sister and I with our parents. So these experiences, really inspired me to learn everything I could about senior living. I became a CSA, just learned all kinds of things. So in 2016, that's when I founded Ruby Care. My team of 9 and I assist families all over the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So we really want to make a difference. And what makes us different is that our whole team has helped family members. And so we know what a lot of families are going through. So our mission is to make things easier. It's our ministry, we say.
That's amazing. It's funny because I do hear that a lot from people who work in this industry, that it was because of something that happened in their life that brought them here. So it's not an uncommon story that I hear that. And so is Ruby Care named after your mother-in-law?
It is. And sometimes I feel a little guilty because I'm like my mom, but we say everyone's a gem or a ruby. So that's how I get away with that part. But really, everyone is a gem.
I like that.
And since then, my mom has passed. And
I'm sorry to hear that. Well, let's kick off talking about what we're going to talk about today. So the first thing that I want to talk about is I know that there are a lot of senior living options, and I want to talk about what those main types of senior living options are and how families can understand the differences between them.
Yeah. Well, I love this question because it's totally confusing at first. When you break it down, it becomes a lot clearer and easier to navigate. I know a lot of people, there's a lot of misunderstandings out there. They lump all senior housing into nursing home. Even my hairdresser this week, I was there. There was one of her clients there, and she told the girl she puts people in homes, talking about nursing homes. So of course I had to correct her and smile. But the truth is nursing homes is really like a catch-all phrase, but there are so many different options. I want to say they say there's like 900 different senior housing options out there. Yeah, I know. And most people, when they first start looking, they go to Google and type in senior housing and they lump them all together. So they're all mixed together. So at Ruby Care, we have a little handy dandy tool, a community comparison chart that helps families easily compare the senior living options. It's got everything side by side, and it bases everything on level cares like what independent living is, assisted living, and pricing and personal preferences. So it's kind of a great tool. So with that said, I'll get started. We can start with active adult living, also
Okay.
known as 55 plus, 62 plus. Are you familiar with that term?
I am.
Are you familiar? Are you familiar? Okay. So these are perfect for folks who are still living life to the fullest. Maybe they're still working, traveling, but they want that low maintenance lifestyle and they want to be surrounded by people in that same season of life. So think about it like this: a beautiful apartment or a cottage where you don't have to mow the lawn anymore or worry about a roof. Instead of you're enjoying the amenities like swimming pools and theaters and fitness classes and all that. So it's less about care and more about convenience, connection, and community. So there are some real basic ones that are out there that are more affordable. And then there's some that are truly, resort style. And they'll offer anything from billiard rooms to saltwater pools. And everyone always asks, can I bring my pet? You can bring pets up to assisted living. Yeah, because that's real important. But of course, that will, depend on the weight and the breed of the community, what they may allow and not allow. And, you have full size kitchens and, the apartments range from different sizes, from studios to up to 3 bedrooms. So,
Wow.
anyway, you'll find people, residents that are 55 to, I say 85 in these places. 80 is what they call the new 60.
Right.
So I did have, yeah, I have a couple that moved from Florida and they wanted to be closer to their kids in Richardson because they wanted to be part of their grandkids' lives as well as their kids. They wanted that freedom to travel. They wanted what they call the lock and leave lifestyle. So we found them a beautiful, luxurious 55 plus community. So it was awesome for them. So
Nice.
that's one category.
Okay.
The next, yep, the next is independent living, which I describe as hassle-free living with comfort. So you're fully independent and but you're ready, to let go of chores like cooking, cleaning, driving, and enjoy life to the fullest. So imagine, all your meals are cooked, housekeeping, is off your plate, and you got a calendar packed full of fun, live music, social events, and all kinds of things, you name it. And you can be as busy as you want. If you don't want to participate, stay in your apartment, right? So,
Yeah.
and transportation is covered. People are still driving, but you don't have to. They'll take trips to the Arboretum or like casinos, and they'll give you rides to doctor's appointments. So you don't really have to worry about driving anymore. It's sort of like Ruby when she lived in one. She said it was like having her own personal chauffeur and they're often described as a cruise ship on land. So it's pretty awesome. And these communities, they have apartment style living, most of them, and they have different sizes, studios up to 3 bedrooms. And of course, all those amenities. And this is where they do what they call all inclusive pricing, which means
Okay.
everything's included in the base rent, including your dining services and basic housekeeping and utilities. But the only thing you may have to pay for is like a landline or a cell phone. And Ruby, she actually lived in independent living until she passed at age 98, and we brought in services for her. We brought in home care. She had caregivers, and then we even brought in hospice at the end. So you really
Okay.
can find communities that you can age in place.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about assisted living, which I call independence with a little extra support. So this is where you have your own apartment, your own routine, and there's help close by when you need it. Like if you need assistance with bathing or dressing or medication management, often those are referred to as activities of daily daily living, and you'll find the same perks as independent living. And but here in assisted living, they do offer 3 meals a day plus snacks and housekeeping and laundry service. They'll do all your laundry, and they do provide a lot of social activities too. They have what they call emergency call systems in the apartments. It's like a pull cord and they'll have them in your living space, and then, of course, in the bathroom, because that's where most accidents happen. And so you're welcome to bring your pet there too, as long as you're able to take care of the pet, or you can hire someone to help you.
Okay.
And so it's really for someone who wants to stay independent. Yeah. So then you got memory care. Memory care is next here. So this is designed for people with people living with Alzheimer's or other forms of dementia. These communities are very thoughtfully structured and secure, and they have staff that's trained to provide tailored care for people with cognitive decline. And they also do a lot of thoughtful structures, like, they think of everything from lighting to the layout. They want to create that calm, safe, and engaging environment. So they may use special lighting or hallways design to reduce that confusion and offer programs like music and art therapy, which helps with the ease and anxiety and agitation. So they offer the same type of support you get in assisted living, helping with the meals and everything. But the big key difference is that they have a lock and secure environment to keep people from wandering. So the other thing too is that you can find memory care communities in what we call standalone communities, or a dedicated section in an assisted living community. So it's a great choice, if somebody has a married couple and one needs memory support, and then the other one's more social, and they can stay in assisted living. I have a client that was living in assisted living, and they started getting confused, and then they went to the wrong apartment. Then they tried to leave the apartment building looking for their car, and that person hadn't driven in years. So
Yeah.
we were able to move them to memory care in the building, because they offered the same support. So it made it easy transition.
I think that's a
Then
really
we have
great.
what we call skilled nursing.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, I think that's a really good consideration for couples.
Yes, it is. It works beautifully, because so many people want to stay together, and I don't blame them. Most people we work with that are couples, they've been married 50, 60 years, and it's hard. It's really hard. So then we have the next level is what we call skilled nursing. And that's for seniors who really need that around the clock medical care, whether they're recovering from a hospital stay, or just need to go there long term. A lot of people use the word rehab center, nursing home. So all those words are used interchangeably. So this is really how it works. Most rehabs or skilled nursings, because that's what we typically say, skilled nursing, have two sides to it. They have the rehab side, and that's where it's short-term care after like an injury. Someone may have fallen, broke a hip, or had a stroke, and they need to spend a few days or weeks to get stronger with speech and physical and occupational therapy before they head back home, wherever home may be. And Medicare, typically covers that. Then you have the other side, the long-term care side. And this is where people can live long term because they have physical challenges. They may be bedridden, or they may have be on a vent, but really only 3% of the population ends up in that type of environment. So anyway, which is good, right?
Yeah.
Long term skilled nursing is the most expensive. Can be the most expensive next to memory care, unless somebody can qualify for Medicaid,
Yeah.
which, that's very limited, because they have really strict medical and financial rules or guidelines that you have to follow. And, again, skilled nursing has that clinical feel.
Yeah, I think it definitely does. I've seen that walking into one of those facilities where it felt more like I was walking into a hospital versus someone's home.
Yeah. Right, right. And it's just, yeah, very clinical. But you do have nurses and doctors there 24/7. But like I said, most people don't go in that environment.
Yeah.
And then what they have, what they call residential care homes. Are you familiar with those?
I don't know if I'm familiar with those. I'm not sure that I would know how they differ from the things that you've just spoken about.
Okay. Well, a lot of people aren't familiar with them and they're wonderful. We probably help about 30% of our clients that move into those type of environments. So it's a small assisted living. They're cozy homes or houses that are located in regular neighborhoods. And they typically have about 3 to 8 residents. So they are, provide that 24-hour care. They are just more personalized and they offer that hands-on care. And it's perfect for seniors who need that quieter environment, or they may have a lot more health care needs that they're not going to, socialize and participate in activities that a lot of the assisted living or memory care communities would offer. These houses have been modified, with like roll-in showers, wider doorways, and raised toilets. And often they're owned by a nurse or a nurse practitioner. And what's wild is a lot of people don't even realize that they have one. They may be living next to one because they don't put signs out front. So you don't even know. Plano alone, it's kind of interesting. There are like 80 that I know of, and 20 are licensed, which is a whole nother episode that you could talk on. But there are some that are licensed, and then there's some that are not. So anyway, it's great for people that just need that quieter environment. And like I said, they're going to be um, a, just more affordable for folks. It's a great alternative for people that don't want that socialization. So, and then there is what they call, and this is the last one, continuum care retirement communities. And the acronym is CCRC.
Yes.
Okay. So, and we don't have a ton of those in the DFW area, but we do have some. I think other states like Florida, they have a lot, but in this area, we don't. This is where you have all living options on one campus, like the assisted living, independent living, memory care, and SNFs or skilled nursing, um, all on one campus. So this is great for people that want to live in one place and just, transition to the next level when that time comes. So if you start in independent living, they guarantee and do what they call a buy-in. Most of them have what they are entrance fee or a buy-in, and then also a monthly charge. So when you leave the community or the CCRC, you get 80 to 90% of your entrance fee back. You get it back, or your estate does. And so anyway, it's but a lot of people don't realize that you can go into these CCRCs as an assisted living or memory care, and not have to do the entrance fee if you're not going in as independent living.
Okay.
But their fees are a little bit higher. So that's,
Yeah.
I'm not going to get to the details too much, but how all that works. So anyway, there's a lot to figure out, as you can see.
Yeah.
So you just have to know what environment your loved one needs, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Senior living
Right.
advisors like me, we work with this all the time, and we can really help people with this, make sense of it emotionally, medically, and financially.
Yeah, and I think that is a very good point for people. Number one, thank you. That was such a wonderful overview. But I also do want people to realize that you don't have to go at this alone. You don't have to get on Google and try to figure out if a facility is good, if they, what their costs are. Do they take, if you have insurance, if you have long-term care insurance, if you're a veteran, all those things, there's help out there. So they're not alone. And if you're listening in another city or another state, there's people out there who do this in your city or state. I guarantee it.
Absolutely. And the good thing is that a lot of people don't realize our services are free, and we're able to keep it free because we're compensated by the communities you move into. I sort of say we're like a realtor, and we're part of national organization called National Placement Referral Alliance. So we have connections all over the country, people that are members of that. And then, I mean, so we can connect you wherever you are because we're in Dallas, Fort Worth. And so if you're in Ohio or Indiana, we can find people to help you in those areas.
That's good to know. Yeah. So let's talk about if you have an older loved one in your life that you're helping. What are some of the signs or changes that families might be noticing that it might be time to have a conversation about additional care or moving, whether that's into a facility or whether that's into a different home or whether that's into independent living? What are some of the things that folks can look for to start conversations like that?
Yeah, that's a important question. Um, so really 90% of our calls are people that are in crisis. So to be honest, waiting to for a crisis is the worst way to make a decision. At that point, everyone is so stressful, feel rushed, and nobody feels good about it. And so planning ahead is just such a great way to go about it. But I know, like I said, 90% of the people call us are not. So some of the things that you can look for are just some little shifts, maybe mom's refrigerator is full of expired food,
Mm.
or worse yet, she doesn't have anything in there. Our dad's bills are stacking up and they're unopened. The lawn's not being mowed, or they're wearing the same clothes every time you go visit them. The house
Mm.
isn't as clean as it used to be. And another one, is social withdrawal. So many people, may have gone to, maybe they used to go to church all the time or Sunday brunch with friends, and now they're staying home more. And that's a real red flag because isolation, can lead to depression, cognitive decline, and even physical issues. And some other things, look, don't ignore those oops moments where they may have been falling, or getting lost when driving, or forgetting their medication or mixing them up. Things can snowball fast. So if you start noticing changes, it's your cue really to start having a conversation and just assure them, that you're not moving them today, you're not moving them tomorrow. You just want to explore options, and you can set up some tours, take your time. Or maybe your loved one just needs someone to come in the house and care for them. A lot of times we talk to families and that aren't ready to move, and they just bring in care. Matter of fact, I'm touring with someone tomorrow. We started talking in 2019. She's probably
Oh,
my longest client that I know, but she just couldn't, give up her apartment, and now her health's declining. Her husband already needed help and support, and she brought in care, but now it's time for her to really make a decision. So, senior living, really doesn't mean giving up independence. It just means gaining some peace of mind and some support. So, my
yeah.
rule of thumb: don't wait for a hospital to force this
Yeah.
hospital visit. If something feels off, trust your instincts and start talking early.
And I appreciate that you said that and that you are letting folks know a conversation with you doesn't mean a move is happening tomorrow. And it may not be time yet for them, or they may not be emotionally ready to do that. And you're also going to help them figure out, okay, well, if you're not ready yet, how can you safely stay where you are because you have resources for that? And then let's start the conversation about what might be next.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there's all kinds of, I say we help people find senior housing, but we help them find anything senior related, resources of all sorts. So,
You've been a great resource for me too.
well, excellent. That's good to hear.
So, when we think about these things and you think about the cost associated with them, I think that also scares people a lot. A lot of people may not have long term care in place, or they may not have a lot of money, um, or they may be worried about the long term cost because you could move in your 70s and live into your 90s, and that's paying for something for quite a bit of time. So, what can people do to plan ahead for that? And just give us a range. I know it's very wide, but what's a range of what people can expect?
Yeah. Well, this is money, talking about money, right? This is where families really start getting overwhelmed. And I totally get it because it's a huge or big investment. But with the right planning and perspective, it can be managed. So, uh, cost can vary a lot, depending on the type of community and the type of care you need and location. But on average, I would say it can be anywhere from 1,500 for an active senior community, um, up to 10,000 and plus. I had somebody that just moved into a memory care and it's top of the line and a lot of support this person's getting, and it's 15,000. But typically, skilled nursing is I know, but I don't have a lot of people that move into that type of price point. But I would say assisted living's averaged in this area 5 to 6,000, memory care, 6 to 8, and then the most expensive is skilled nursing. A private room in skilled nursing in the DFW area is about 10,000 a month, 9,000
Mm,
maybe. It's
yeah,
not. It's something that you have to think about, and hopefully people have a financial planner. But if
yeah,
you when you a lot of families don't realize a lot of times if they start looking at the cost of everything in their house, the mortgage, groceries, home care, if they have home care, I mean, that can be $30, $35, $40 an hour. And you do
right.
that time 12 hours a day, that can add up. Lawn care, housekeeping, all those little things, can add up. And so if you look at everything, side by side, it's not as big of a leap as it may first seem.
Yeah,
So I say, yeah, look at your income, your assets. If you have long-term care insurance, they may, if they were a veteran, they may qualify for veterans aid and attendance, a benefit there. Um, but you talk to someone like me, who we don't
yeah,
charge you for um, our service, so we can help you manage, break down what some affordable to whatever your needs are, what your interests are in your budget. So anyway, I say bottom line, just don't let the sticker shock stop you from exploring, because there could be options, you know.
yeah.
And if someone is Medicaid driven, we can give you resources for that. Or if they want to bring in care and they're on Medicaid, there's options for that as well. So there's all kinds of different um, things out there.
So having a conversation takes away that mystery, and it does allow people to see, okay, well, what can we do? And I think people need to be open to that and open to those conversations and having those tough conversations with,
Hmm.
parents, grandparents. I mean, it's not an easy conversation, but it's one that does need to be had.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
what would you recommend as the very first step that someone would want to take if they were thinking that a senior living move might be in their future?
Well, I would say you need to look at the care needs, of your loved one. It's not just about their um, health needs. You have to look at all kinds of things. It's not just like a checklist on uh, a checklist. I should say, it's
Yeah.
about you need to find out what brings them joy. Were they social before? Did they like gardening? So with us, we try to dig deep, find out everything about your loved one and, their careers, their hobbies, and just try to figure out what they like to do and what can keep them um, physically and help them thrive emotionally. Well, anyway, there's a lot of guilt that goes into moving, so
Um,
it's just walking through those conversations with people and validating that it's hard, and finding the right community, can bring so much joy and purpose back to someone's life. I don't
yeah,
think I
can you
answered your
imagine?
question.
Yeah, I think you did. I think you did answer my question because I do think um, considering their needs is a great first step. Like what is my family member going to need? And honestly asking themselves that question. So, sometimes they're making that decision. A lot of times they're making that decision on their own or with family. What is it that I'm looking for? What is it that I need? I think that is honestly a great first step so that when they go and talk with someone like you, they have an idea of what it is that they want. They don't have to find that. You'll find it for them, but at least they know what it is that they want.
Yeah, you don't want, I mean, you can start the conversation. It's not like a big, dramatic sit down. You could be gentle little conversations. Say, hey, mom, have you ever thought about what you might want to do in the future if this house gets too big or too much? Um, or for me, I know what I did. I said to Ruby, I visited Sarah, a friend of mine, her mom at this beautiful senior living community the other day. Would you like to go check it out with me? And that's when Ruby started realizing that she, does need to move, and that they're not all like the old nursing homes like her mom
Right.
lived in. So, just opening the door, letting them know that there are different options out there and there are not. And we're talking again,
Yeah.
about their social well-being as well, their interests, not just making sure that it is taking care of them physically, but them emotionally.
Yeah. I think that's an important factor because there's a lot of life left to be lived and we want them to live it well.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I try to keep this 30 minutes or less, and we're bumping up against that. Although I don't care because this was such great information. But if there was one thing or one additional thing that you would want people to know about senior living options, is there something else that you would share that we haven't chatted about?
Well, I would say, don't be afraid to reach out to someone like us because we truly are free. I know people sometimes think nothing's free in this world, but our services are free. And so why not, invest call a senior living advisor because
Yeah.
they can really save you a lot of stress and time. We can find something for you in 10 minutes that may take you 2 days to figure it out and narrow it down. And like I said, and like you brought up, Kristy, if you're not ready to move, we're going to give you people that do home modifications or home care, anything, and or elder law attorneys to help you get your documents or ducks in a row. So, just don't wait and put it off. I know it's a subject that no one wants to talk about, but it's going to happen, with all of us.
Mhm.
I had a call
It's true.
yesterday from a friend. Her in-laws have everything in place. They planned, they're so organized. And the mom, lives in another state and she has not thought about anything. She doesn't want to talk about it and she just gets angry. So I'm connecting her with a care manager um, that can kind of go see her mom, oversee things, and kind of be her go-to person when she does need that support because she's so many miles afar, away from her. And that way she can have another set of eyes and ears, and her mom may feel a little more, um, uh, you know, okay about giving her information than telling the daughter. So the daughter gives a daughter peace of mind, as well.
And I think that that is great, a great perspective. Meet your clients and your family members where they are and, be willing to listen and be open to what they're ready to do and not bulldoze the situation, which a lot of us want to do. We think we know all the answers. So, we got to step back and allow that client or the loved one to make, their own decisions.
You have to be patient. And the good thing is, too, you want your parents to be involved in the decisions. So while they're still able, you just kind of have to be gentle and patient and just keep bringing up little subtle comments, and like, hey, what have you thought about the future if the house gets too big? Stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Well, Joyce, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I really appreciate your insight and your perspective. I think what you do is so important for folks who are facing a move. and I hope that people reach out to you. So how would they get a hold of you? How would they find you?
They can go to our website, and that's rubycaresenior.com, rubycaresenior.com. Or they can call me directly. My number is 214-536-2979.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on today.